Shields up, Ironbreakers. Welcome back to Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter Wilds was revealed yesterday at the Game Awards as the final announcement of the show, which for those of you that are not aware, usually when it comes to these shows, the final announcement represents pretty much a capstone on the show, like potentially the most important reveal at said show. That's usually the way that it goes. Whether it is Nintendo Direct, whether it is the Game Awards, whether it is whatever you choose, whenever it comes to a gaming show, the final reveal is traditionally considered the most important one. I want you to keep that in mind because, just look at how much this franchise has evolved over the last couple of years, that it is now considered one of the most important franchises, even from a mainstream perspective. This is a very good thing for Monster Hunter fans, at least from my personal opinion. Now, one of the first things that I would like to do here is we're going to show the trailer again. For those of you that maybe haven't watched the Game Awards, I'm going to just play the trailer in its entirety. There's also a second reason for this. It's not just for the people that didn't watch it at the Game Awards. It is also because the audio mixing at the Game Awards was actually not very good. And that doesn't mean that the sound was bad. What it means is that the mixing of the sound not being very good indicated that the sound just kind of like felt flat. So we're going to be watching the official trailer on the Monster Hunter channel, and you might notice if you only watched it yesterday at the Game Awards, you might notice that this version is going to sound significantly better. So anyways, let's get things started. Now, I know this is only a very short trailer, so you guys might be thinking, okay, so what can you possibly take away from this trailer? And let me tell you, I took a lot of things away from this trailer. And on top of it, I also have a lot of really wild speculation when it comes to this game, and I'm going to be presenting all of that to you throughout this video. Now, one of the first things that I want to point out is notice that we have PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as Steam. Now, some people might be questioning, okay, but is it going to be Steam like last time where first you got the consoles and then you got the PC? This is very unlikely. In the past, we've had people from Capcom specifically saying, hey, look, we're looking at the PC as very much one of our main platforms now, and therefore this whole, delayed stuff is most likely not going to happen. I know that I've said this in the past, particularly when it came to Sunbreak, and I remember being surprised about something regarding Sunbreak. I think it was the staggered release of patches and consoles or something like that when it came because Sunbreak went Switch, then PC, and then back to console. I know that basically what I'm saying is that there have been a couple of inconsistencies, but I think that for Monster Hunter Wilds, they're not going to delay it on PC. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. That's not to say they can't do it, but I don't think it makes any sense, and I highly doubt that that would be something that they would do. So that's number one. Now, a couple of more things here. There was another video that was released. This one was released on the official PlayStation channel, and this is a video of Ryuzo Tsujimoto. They say that this is a series producer interview. It's more like a message, really, and I'm going to just select two specific sections of this video I mean, you guys can watch the whole thing. It's like 2 minutes or whatever, but I want to pick just 2 specific sections of this video to go into in a little bit more detail.
発表した映像を見て、いろいろな考察をしていただければと思っております。
The game features some new level of detailed creatures and ecosystems. This is definitely something that you can see in the trailer due to the fact that there's just a ridiculous amount of density when it comes to small monsters, which is something that we usually don't see. And in a way, it can almost feel a little bit off-putting, but we're going to be talking about that in more detail as we go forward. And when I say off-putting, I mean I can feel a little bit off-putting for some of the more veteran players of Monster Hunter. Like, man, there's just so many friggin' monsters, including even these dudes, which are a little bit bigger, and there's like friggin' 5 or 6 of them in this shot. You guys were like, what the hell is going on? Like, these dudes look like Gossarog sized. Why are there 6 of them all in the screen at the same time? We're going to get into that topic as well. But another thing that Ryozu said is this.
最初は日本からお届けしたタイトルでしたが、2018年にはプレイステーション4でモンスターハンターワールドを全世界同日発売することができました。皆様に長くサポートいただいたおかげで、全世界のユーザーが楽しんでくださるシリーズへと成長することができました。最新ハード向けとしてお届けする。
So, he said previous Monster Hunter titles actually released in Japan first. This was kind of like one of the reasons why I never covered the series in too much detail ahead of Monster Hunter World, because usually, you know, most of the content would already be out and people already be doing guides and stuff like that, like 1 year before the games actually arrived at the West. And I don't know how to speak Japanese, and, you know, so it's whatever. So basically, that's one of the reasons why it was World when I really began covering it, because it was a worldwide release. I think what he's saying here is, like, you can expect this one to also be a worldwide release, which makes sense. It is. This is the future of this franchise, okay? The franchise is not going to be, oh, let's go back to the way that it was, you know, Japan, and then 1 year later in the West. I don't think you're ever going to see that again unless we run into some serious problems when it comes to Monster Hunter. He also mentioned that this is now pretty much a global success, a recognized franchise, whereas previously it used to be a much more niche franchise, which again harkens back to what I mentioned, where this was the capping off of the Game Awards, okay? Very important stuff, but cool message from Ryozu, and congratulations to the Monster Hunter team. I cannot say this enough, like, they've been doing amazing work. And, you know, with the fact that they were able to cap off the Game Awards, I just thought that was impressive. So congratulations to the team. Now, a couple of more things that I wanted to bring up. We have the Monster Hunter Wilds logo right here. Now, why is this so important? You can tell a lot from the logo, including as to whether or not this is Monster Hunter 6, which I know during that live stream, which might I just remember, you guys, it was at 4 in the morning, I said, I think this might be a spin-off. No. That was just 4 a.m. Rurikhan talking. Also, I've been sick over the last couple of days, so cut me some slack. But no, it's most definitely not a spin-off. I was talking to Cowboy after the stream, and, you know, I was even like, no, of course it's not a spin-off. It was one of the most important reveals at the Game Awards. They're not going to do that for a spin-off, okay? The reason I thought it was a spin-off is because the trailer looks very much single-player, okay? That was the reasoning behind it. But anyway, if you look at this logo, now let's think back. Okay, what did the Rise logo look like? Okay, it looked like this. Okay. So these logos don't really share much in common, right? You know, Monster Hunter Wilds, Monster Hunter Rise, not a whole lot in common. However, if you look at Monster Hunter World, things get a little bit different, huh? That font looks pretty much the same. It is the same. It's the same font, the Monster Hunter font. But on Monster Hunter Rise, it was different. To me, what this signifies is that I suspect, that Monster Hunter Wilds takes place in the New World. New World being the setting of Monster Hunter World. It just takes place in a different section of Monster Hunter World. Now, another important thing is naturally the whole, the usual wyvern heads signifies the generation of Monster Hunter. Because, you know, we have right here, this is actually a post from Gaijin. And you can see here, Monster Hunter 1, you have 1 wyvern head. Monster Hunter 2, you have 2 wyvern heads. Monster Hunter 3, you have 3 wyvern heads. Monster Hunter 4, you have 4 wyvern heads. And Monster Hunter 5, not 5 world, but you guys get the idea, you have 5 dragon heads. Now, if we go ahead and we look at Monster Hunter 6, this is again a post from Gaijin. You can see 1, 2, 3. This one's kind of like hidden behind the letters. 4, 5, 6. And if we go to the actual logo, you can see it here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, did I count that right? I think I did. Either way, look, there's 4 here, then 1 more here, and then 1 more here. However, one of the more important things in the logo, I would actually argue, is this. This appears to be some kind of an egg, which I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I can't really zoom into this all that much, but you guys get the idea. There's like this thing here in the middle, and to me, this looks like an egg. Now, I've been thinking a lot about these 2 wyverns that you have here. I don't know if it makes sense to have 2, flying serpent wyverns the same way that we kind of already had in Monster Hunter Rise. Maybe they'll do it again. I don't know if that is the case or not. But I'm actually considering that this could potentially be the same wyvern. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure if that is the case or not, because, I mean, obviously this is all just theory crafting at this point. Who the hell even knows? However, one of the things that I think is interesting is that they are clearly showing this theme of the scenario changing. Now, this is the official Monster Hunter Wilds website, and if we actually refresh this page, I want you to pay attention. Notice how it shows this kind of like changing, this dynamic change in the scenery, right? Like, look at it again. Big thunderstorm, boom. In comes like a gust of wind, cleans up the plains. They all look golden. One of the things I've been talking to Gaijin, we already recorded the Third Fleet podcast, and one of the things that he said is this even reminds him of like the ancestral steppes from friggin' Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. The golden hue of the flora in the ground. Which is correct, in my opinion. But obviously, this is not the ancestral steppes. This is New World. Now, we also have these lightning rod pillars here that you guys can see. And I have quite a few more theories about this. But for that, we're going to dive into an analysis of the trailer itself. So let's jump in. I'm going to be pausing the trailer repeatedly. And eventually, I'm going to bring the volume back up because I want you to hear something very specific near the end here. But let's get things started. Actually, I'm going to bring the volume back up from the start because I want you to know what threw me off in the trailer initially was the music. Listen to the music. Now, what I get from the music that they're using here is actually a mix of tribal with something a little bit more electronic, more advanced, as in like, a more technologically advanced civilization almost. It's not exactly that, but you just get this theme of more high-tech almost, which was something that completely threw me off because I expected more traditional Monster Hunter music when the trailer came up. So if you watch my reaction to the trailer, you'll actually see me go like, oh my God, it's Monster Hunter. Then I hear the music and I'm going, oh, that's not Monster Hunter music. That's weird, which is cool because it means that they're exploring like new themes and whatnot. And that's something that I'm personally very excited for. But then we clearly have the reintroduction of like tribal elements to it and whatnot. So you have this crazy mix going on, right? But anyways, that's the music thing. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more about some other stuff that takes place here right at the very beginning. So one of the first things is look at the density, the absolute density of small monsters. Like usually, this would be all of the small monsters in one map. And in here, you have all of them in this tight-knit zone. Now, this makes me question if previously they didn't do this amount of mobs because they just like, either the engine, the technology of the engine wasn't there, or they felt like that took away from the fighting of the big monsters because maybe there were performance issues. I don't know. But it almost seems like this was their design intent all along, which looks very much like a natural location. This is why Ryozu also said in the PlayStation interview, a lot more detailed ecology and environments, right? Just look at the amount of them. Also notice that they have these little birds here. Now, potentially this could mean that we have to do a little capture minigame. You guys remember from Monster Hunter World, you could like capture small little critters, then you can release them in your room in the main hub or whatever. Who knows what the whole situation is going to be with that. But the density is something that was definitely surprising for me early on. And look at the detail of them, just like picking up little insects and whatnot. It's kind of cool. Now in here you have some dudes that almost are reminiscent of Renoplos. Almost, maybe, I don't know. I'm probably going to be hunting a whole lot of these bad boys to make my Gunland set. So in here it seems like this is where the storm is beginning, and you can see that the hunter is running away from the storm, and I want to call out your attention to one of the most important things about this trailer, and that is the fact that our hunter is on a mount. Now, I understand that you guys are going to go like, well, we had mounts in Sunbreak and Rise even with the Palamutes and all of that stuff. But the importance here is that they're revealing this mount right on the first reveal trailer. And that to me tells me, especially with the scale of the world, the number of monsters and all of that stuff, it tells me that this is we're most likely looking at the first open world Monster Hunter game, which is why they want to give a lot of emphasis on the traversal of the terrain. Because whenever you have an open world game, one of the things that a lot of developers do wrong is traversal. They mess up the traversal. They make it so that the traversal is boring and not interesting, and it just becomes kind of like a slog to go through. And this is Capcom's way, I feel like. At least, again, this is from this moment onwards, you're looking at wild speculation. See what I did there? But this to me is like Capcom's way of saying, hey, we're going to have a mount, and this mount is going to be important because it's going to allow you to navigate this massive open world that we're making. Just look at the sheer scale of the scenery. I mean, just look at this. If we go back to the website here, look at the scale of this. It's insane. Supposedly, you'll be able to go all over this place. This is bigger than any map you've ever been into. Straight up, I don't think you can compare any map that you've played in that has this sense of scale when it comes to Monster Hunter. Scale is something that personally I really appreciate. It was one of my favorite things about Xenoblade Chronicles X. For those of you that play that game, it was the sheer scale that you had in the world, and this is something that they're doing for Monster Hunter Wilds, which is very, very good to see. So the mount, this is why the mount is taking center stage, for them to be like, don't worry. We know the world's going to be big, but we have that sorted. This mount is going to make sure that you're going to have a good time and you're not going to get bored while you are traversing the world. Now, another thing that you will see if you pay close attention to the mount is that there is a weapon here. That's pretty obvious. We'll talk about that as well. Let me see a better shot. Okay, so these dudes. Now, look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, what? Really? 6? 7. There's actually 7 of them? Yeah, there's 7 of them. Okay? These are like what people right now are calling the desert Gossarags. I have a bit of a theory in regards to these dudes. I could be wrong. These could just be like small monsters and they're not really a big deal. They're just maybe a little bit bigger than usual and they're a little bit more aggressive. But my theory is that Capcom could potentially be introducing a new type of monster. So usually you have the small monsters and then you have the large monsters. And the small monsters, sometimes you'll hunt them like for very specific parts, but most of the time they're just there to kind of like add a little ambience to the scene and whatnot, and just give this sense of immersion through a different ecology and all of that stuff, right? What if Capcom is adding a new category of monsters, which would be the medium monsters? So you have large monsters, like a traditional Rathalos or that type of monster, right? And then you have your small monsters, which are your herbivores or sometimes even more aggressive carnivores, whatever. And then you have your medium monsters. And your medium monsters could potentially be stuff that you fight in like a herd. And you'll get like, you know, special parts and whatnot from these guys. You'll get specific quests to go kill them. In the grand scheme of things, it would almost be like small monsters, except they're like an intermediate step between the small monster and the large monster. They're just a medium monster, and you fight them in herds of quite a few of them, as you can see here. I think that would be interesting. As to whether or not that is the case, obviously I do not know. Like I said, this is speculation at this point. But I think it'd be more interesting than them just being small monsters, right? Another thing that I want you to pay attention in this scene is when he is running from these monsters, he's actually not running. He's using normal speed on the mount, because you'll notice that the mount is only using its hind legs to boost, and its front legs are really not doing anything. The reason why this is important is because this is not the maximum speed of this mount. You guys will now see he's going to be dodging through, and you can see a couple of these pangolin dudes here, and they're the ones with the spikes. The ones with the spikes are particularly important, and you can start seeing lightning rods all over the place. Now, these lightning rods is something that I'm very curious about, because you'd imagine, like, who put those there? Who put those lightning rods there? Was it us? Could have been us, the, I don't know, 6th Fleet, whatever you want to call it, who came through to this particular location of the New World, and because we saw that this was very prone to lightning storms, we started placing down these lightning rods to make it easier for us to navigate the map. But my theory is that this is actually an ancient civilization which was advanced, maybe even a little bit more advanced than current Monster Hunter civilizations. We don't know exactly why they've been wiped out. Again, heavy speculation. But I would imagine that they were the ones who put this here. And I will explain to you guys why. But one of the things is definitely the music. Like I told you, the music has a more high-tech theme to it, I feel like. And that would kind of like support, you know, we're investigating this advanced civilization that once was here. And we're trying to figure out why they got wiped out. Maybe, I don't know. Look at the animations, by the way. Did you see them just like grab and yeet the pangolins? Look at that. The absolute violence. I love this attention to detail. Like they grab them and then they yeet them. I don't know why they're so upset. They have like a friggin' banquet over here. But another interesting thing that you start seeing is the storm coming in. And this is another one of the central themes of the game. Like I said, you have these two states that the world is in, which whenever you come to the official website, you refresh, big storm, big booms, and then everything cleans up, and you have just like normal sunny day, plains, all of that stuff. Now, naturally, that reveals a wild, here we go again, reveals a wild imbalance in the weather system of this particular region, right? And that can only be caused by what? An elder dragon. Elder dragon, black dragon, whatever you want to call them, right? I suspect it's just going to be an Elder Dragon for starters, and obviously I think that Elder Dragon is going to be this this wyvern right here. Now it could be this one, or it could be this one, or it could be two of them. I still don't know if it's two of them. Naturally, the head on this particular wyvern is different than the head on this one, but I almost think that this one might be just a juiced up version of the other one, but I don't know, because there's also the theme of the egg. It's just a reason why I'm very hesitant to believe that these are two different, you know, flying serpent type wyverns who are also fighting for an egg, is because that was already the theme in Monster Hunter Rise, and it doesn't feel like they would do that again, but I could be wrong. Who knows? But yeah, I think that naturally this particular wyvern could be the cause of the situation that we are experiencing here with the shifting weather. As you can see, the storm's going to come in. And now everything changes. Whenever the storm comes in, everything changes. You know, you can see lightning falling all over the place. The visibility conditions change. You see fog. You see all of this stuff, which actually looks really good. But also pay attention to our mount running. You guys remember how earlier I told you? See, you actually see the transition a little bit earlier here. And here it's walking with its front legs up, and now he's going to start running. Watch. Front legs go down. Watch. Boom. And there it is. Now it starts running much, much faster. So that's another aspect of the whole thing. Now, another thing, notice how the lightning struck these dudes. I think that the idea is that these dudes act as lightning rods, because the whole point of the lightning rods is to allow you to traverse safely, so you don't get close to lightning rods. You're not going to get struck by lightning. If you stay reasonably in range of these dudes, they get struck by lightning, you don't. It even seems like potentially one of the things that I was thinking about is that these guys, like if we go back to the start here, and I know I keep going back and forth with this trailer, but if you think about it, notice the positioning of the animals, right? Notice how the smaller pangolins all congregate around one of the big ones with stalactites, right? The reasoning is they don't want to get struck by lightning, and if they're close to him, lightning strikes him, he absorbs the damage for the crew, he absorbs the damage for the group, and therefore they don't get struck by lightning. Notice again, they're congregating around another one of these, and again over here they're congregating around one of these. So these guys just kind of like act like portable lightning rods to defend the other pangolins. I think that is, kind of like their life's purpose. That is the way that they've evolved to survive in this specific area where there's this elder dragon that's constantly blasting everybody with lightning. I love the dynamic shifts in the environment. It's so cool. As you can see right here, this is when you notice it, like, okay, so at this point, he's not really close to the lightning rod, so the lightning is going straight after the hunter. See? Look at the lightning. It's going to spawn right on top of him. Boom. Oh, I thought there was one that spawned right on top of him, but you guys get the idea. If you're not close to those lightning rods, the lightning's going to shoot out for you. I love the traversal here. This actually reminds me of that spot that we had in, what was it called? Damn it. Bro, what is it with my brain and names? The Coral Highlands. The spot in the Coral Highlands where, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a spot where you would go up and you would just like, use the slinger to go navigate very quickly from wire beetle to wire beetle, like, and you would just like not stop until we got to the very top. That's kind of like what reminds me of this this little traversal thing here. Pretty cool, pretty organic. Okay, now in here, there's a couple of things that I want to point out because this is a very good zoomed in shot of our hunter. So, oops, my bad. Sorry, I pressed the wrong key. So, if we take a look at our hunter here, one of the things that we can tell is he's definitely got a slinger type apparatus. Now, I don't really see the same stuff that we had for the clutch claw, because the clutch claw had like a bigger thing. I actually should have gotten a picture of the clutch claw, but I didn't. But the clutch claw had a much more pronounced thing near the slinger. This just appears to be a basic slinger, maybe even a more advanced slinger because it's smaller than the original one. The original one is actually much bigger, so this one could potentially be a little bit more advanced. We also have a scout fly cage right here. Again, just more references that this appears to take place in Monster Hunt in the same location as Monster Hunter World, which is why, the location that we usually call the New World. But yeah, just a couple of more things to point out. Also, notice that here on the left side of our beastie, we have a pouch. This pouch is going to be important for later. Just notice there's like a pouch in here. There's a bunch of stuff on there. Now, another very important feature, your mount can glide. So your mount can run to make you traverse the map reasonably faster, but on top of it, it can glide to grant you access to different areas of the map, which is pretty cool. Here we have, once again, the world transition back to neutral. Now here's an interesting thing that I hadn't really noticed yet. Notice that over there. It's almost like the ice, the crystals get revealed. Well, they were probably covered in dust. Now, another thing that kind of like reinforces the whole high-tech thing that I've been telling you guys about, I'm going to increase the volume here. Pay close attention to the noise that the Monster Hunter letters make when they appear, and then when the wilds appears in the bottom, pay close attention to the noises that makes. That to me has a definitive like kind of like high-tech vibe to it as well, very much like the music that you hear at the beginning, which is what leads me to believe that we are going to be investigating some type of, ancient civilization that potentially got extinguished by the wyvern, that's the elder dragon that's roaming these areas and shooting lightning all over the place. They've placed down these protections so that they could navigate the world while they were walking around during a storm. They've placed these to be able to kind of just like move around. And then the other thing is, these are not naturally formed rock formations. So I think that these are going to be extremely important. And if you notice, like when it comes to the wyverns in the logo, these also have like all of these circle things around them. Wilds has these crazy circle things around them. And there's a circle back there as well. Let me actually show it to you guys here because it's a little bit cleaner. As you can see, there's a circle here. And then another circle here. I think I have it open here. It's an image. But yeah, I think that these are going to be of particular importance to our story, but I don't know exactly what they are. They're definitely not naturally formed. So, and considering all the circular things that we have in the logo and not, I think that they're very important. And then finally, let's address the elephant in the room, which is this particular character has a great sword as well as a bowgun stashed away in this bag. An interesting thing, the bowgun actually protrudes from the bag. You can see this is like the scope of the bowgun right here. You can zoom in a little bit more if you guys want. Like, see, that's the scope of the bowgun. It's like protruding from the satchel that he's got going there. But yeah, our character here has 2 weapons. And in my opinion, this is just because you're going to be able to have 2 weapons so long as you're close to the mount. As a matter of fact, I was even discussing this with Gaijin. It would be cool because like in here you see him have 2 different weapons, right? You have a great sword and you have a bowgun. But what if instead, let's say you are a dual blades user and you have, you're fighting a monster like let's say a Baroth, right? So the Baroth, the way that it works is whenever he's covered in mud, he's more vulnerable to water. Whenever he's not covered in mud, he's more vulnerable. I'm not sure if it's snow or fire, but I think it's fire. He's more vulnerable to fire. So the most ideal way of beating the crap out of a Baroth, if you want to use elemental damage, would be, beat him with water while he's got mud, and then beat him with fire once you clear the mud away. What if you were able to have, equipped on you, water dual blades, and then on the satchel, a set of fire dual blades? And then let's say you're fighting this Baroth, right? You're fighting the Baroth, you clear out all of the mud, and you're like, boom, I clear the mud. You run up to your mount, or you whistle the mount to come close to you. You press a button, and your character just kind of like reaches into the satchel, takes out the other dual blades, stores the dual blades you're currently using, and then you're ready with fire dual blades, and you go beat the crap out of a Baroth. Again, this is me just giving you an example with dual blades. Other examples I'm sure you can think of, like for instance in my case, I could have, I'm using long shelling for now, but when the monster reaches this stage, I would rather use wide shelling because it makes it a lot more manageable. So I could go in there, swap gun lances midway, or you can just straight up have 2 different weapons if you want to. Like, hey, I'm fighting a Baroth, I want to have a hammer to beat his head silly, and then when his head's completely busted up, I'm going to swap over into my charge blade or something like that, right? Again, cool stuff, being able to have 2 weapons. However, it is also important to note that this could signify, Capcom moving in a more aggressive tempo, so to speak, being able to swap between 2 weapons. But at the same time, it could also signify that maybe there's not maybe that you can't replenish like your stuff on the field. That would make me so happy. Because right now, on any of the other games, you can just straight up go to a tent. When you're in the map, you can go to a tent, and you can just exchange your weapon, and there's no penalty, there's nothing. You just go there, and you're like, okay, I want to use duels now. And you swap your duels, and then you go back to the field. Maybe this is Capcom saying like, hey, you know, on this one, we're going to let you have 2 weapons, but you're going to have to do better preparation when you go out into the field. I think that would actually be really cool because if you guys remember, I told you earlier that on the other side of the mount, there's a satchel. And as a matter of fact, I think that there's a more detailed bit that has that satchel. Let me just see here. Yeah, if you pay attention here while he's gliding. Okay, there's a part where he gets hit by lightning, which will probably have better lighting. Okay, but if you see the gliding here, right, this is the satchel. And in this satchel, notice that there's a potion here. This could potentially signify that this satchel is meant to hold a couple of extra things. So on your hunter, right, you have your own hunter's bag that you always have that has all of the consumables that you brought to the hunt. But then you have additional consumables that are in that satchel, but it's not the entirety of your inventory. Thus, kind of asking you to do a little bit more preparation before you head out into the field and just be like, oh, I'm going to have this amount of stuff in this satchel. And then whenever you are close to your mount, you can have access to those extra items. You can transfer them to yourself, so you can have extra potions, you can have extra ammunition, you can have extra all of these things. But you don't get to go back and refill your stuff. That, to me, would actually be the perfect solution. Another interesting thing is that we have a bedroll here on the mount as well. Now, this could just be flair, right? This could just be decorations for the mount and whatnot. But I think it would make sense that maybe there aren't camps here. Maybe you're exploring the wilds for the first time. At least in the beginning section of the game, you're kind of like roaming this place and you're exploring it and you're forced to sleep out in the wild. Because like I said, I think this is going to be an open world Monster Hunter game. As a matter of fact, I think that Capcom is going to be ambitious enough to just go out there and be like, hey, this is all open world. There's not even going to be loading screens for you to go into town. I think they might just do that. So you actually you go into town and the town is an organic part of the map. Maybe the town can even get attacked at some point and you can be fighting in the town, which would be pretty cool. But anyway, these are just like a lot of wild speculations. I keep saying wild because wild is just such a word that I just tend to use so often already, but these are a lot of speculations that I have for Monster Hunter Wild. Let me know what you guys thought about the video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, the dislike button. Feedback is important. Usually Capcom does check feedback on videos like these. I know that for a fact. So if you want to, type something out for them, also make sure to go ahead and do that. Leave feedback on what you thought about the reveal and all that stuff, and also leave feedback for me. Let me know what you think about my theories. Let me know what theories you guys have, and we'll continue this discussion. Now, pretty soon I'm also going to be releasing a Third Fleet podcast with me and Gaijin, so hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. We recorded it pretty much not after the show, but like I woke up and I was like, hey, when you got time to record? And he was like, let's do it right now. Crap, I wasn't ready, but yes, let's go. Hope you guys will enjoy that as well. But yeah, feels good, baby. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all stay strong out there. And Capcom, congratulations. That was one hell of a reveal at the Game Awards. Stay strong, everybody. Peace out.